Oh baby, everybody, and we are back. Welcome back to Words with Wayman. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll go with that. I can't speak today. Thank you for tuning in. We are coming back with a nice part 2. Art painter Ben Kelley, thank you so much for coming back.
I paint art.
He paints art. We were talking before about kind of how you got into art and how you have a day job and stuff like that. I want to throw this one to you right away. What's the hardest part of being a painter? I know it must be tough sometimes.
Oh, the hardest part of being a painter. Probably having to wear a beret all the time. And I don't even like smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
I smoke cigarettes.
It is a nice beret you're wearing right now, ladies and gentlemen. It is.
My striped shirt.
Purple, yeah.
The hardest part of being a painter, I guess, all the supplies.
Yeah.
It's funny because, like the whole starving artist thing, but like if you go buy art supplies, you're broke.
Crazy expensive.
Paint's expensive. Like I'm paying, $15 for like this tiny little paintbrush.
And the canvases
and I
stuff.
gotta buy 20 of them at least. Yeah. So I think the hardest part is, just, and then having a place to store everything.
Yeah.
It's like people come to our house and it's like, oh, cool, you have your paintings up over the house. It's like, that's just because I don't have anywhere to put them.
I have to. Do you have your spot that you paint in your house or? Like?
Yeah, I've got a nice little, my little studio set up in our basement.
Nice.
Which is unfinished, so it's great because I can spill stuff and, smells and everything.
That's kind of perfect.
So that's good.
Is it walled off now so the kid can't get in there and stuff, or is she not crawling around yet?
No, she's crawling, but she hasn't figured out the whole doorknob concept, which is good because it goes downstairs. So
yeah,
for now.
Yeah, for a little, you're gonna buy yourself a little bit of time
when she's in everything.
Because we were talking about not eating paint earlier. Yeah,
you don't want to eat the paint.
It looks delicious. How many paintings would you say that you produce each year?
Oh, gosh.
I'm sure it varies quite a bit.
Wow. That's one like a question I should have known. I could have just counted stuff up.
Oh no,
I have no
just
idea.
a rough, yeah, like 50.
So before having a baby, the number would probably be higher, but not 50. I'd probably say a solid 10 to 20.
Nice.
10 being a very slow year, probably now with having a baby, but easily 20.
Yeah.
And probably some that I hated and never counted them as paintings and painted over them.
You paint over them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, canvases are kind of expensive.
They are really expensive.
I'll lay down the gesso on top of it, scrape off whatever's needed, and start over later.
That is one of those things that I feel like. Do you generally feel like the second time that it leads to a better painting after you paint over it?
I would say that, though typically, typically I've painted over it's like a totally different painting. Like, oh, that was a portrait, and now it's like, flowers or whatever.
Just because you didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just wasn't working out. Now, yeah, like a commission, I've done commissions where they've been heavily reworked.
Mm-hmm.
So it does get better. But sometimes, man, you just got to scrape everything off, grab a new canvas. That one's obviously tainted. I'm not using that canvas. I'm going to start fresh, and that I find helps.
Where do you, when you run into like a point at a painting where you're like, I don't like where this is going, or I'm not sure where this is going, what do? Do you just step back and hang out, or?
Yeah, no, it's funny. Like if you start a painting, you probably want to stop within 30 minutes and walk away and come back, because I don't know what happens to your eyes. Like you start seeing things funny, your perspective totally changes. So walking away, taking about 10 minutes, coming back. I've had paintings where I thought it was a total failure and I walked away or went to sleep and woke up the next morning and I was like, I like that. So it's always changing, but you definitely need to stop and take a break and, walk away. And if it still sucks, and just start over.
Yeah, maybe it's something that you're just too into that you can't kind of look at from the outside.
And I've had some where I tried forcing it. It's weird. Like once you start off in a bad way, it just takes so much longer to keep trying to correct it than just starting fresh. Yeah. Which is why I end up having these canvases. They're like half painted and I just paint over them.
Because you did try to force it?
Yeah, it's good just to start fresh and clear everything out.
How long do you think it took to realize what the style that you like to paint in? Did you kind of just see it more going towards some way, specifically?
Oh, man, embracing mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I had times where, I had just spilled something or used too much paint thinner and drip started to happen. Or, I've always been a fan of just making mistakes in the paintings and seeing where that leads.
Yeah.
It helps if you have a concept of where you're going, but keep it loose because it might change and just go with it.
That is the thing. That's cool.
It's kind of like life. Just go with it.
No, that's absolutely right. That's like improv comedy too. I mean, it's like
Right?
you pretty much, if you embrace it, it's going to lead to something better. And if you say
Yeah.
no to it, that's probably when you have a half-finished canvas. Then.
Yeah,
Man.
it's like a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep seeing where it leads.
Just seeing what comes out.
Until you end up naked downtown, with a prostitute. Then maybe don't go see where that leads. But
there we go. I did see that
otherwise it
news
helps.
article of you, and I felt like
that wasn't me. That was
oh
somebody
yeah.
else.
That was Tony La Russa probably, or it will be in a couple months. If you had to say what your goal in painting would be, what would it be?
Oh, it's changed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I've always liked that quote from Ferris Bueller, where he's like, "Life moves pretty fast. Don't stop and look around. You could miss it."
Yeah.
I find that so true. And like painting for me is just a reminder of like finding the meaning and beauty in just like fleeting moments throughout life.
That's awesome.
So if you can miss things when you're so busy, but if you have a day where you're sitting in a field and you just have that time to like sit down and admire things, you start finding beauty in the tiniest things.
Do you think so? It's like meditative in a sense for you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Painting is definitely my meditation.
That's awesome.
It's like my Zen activity.
Yeah, and you get something out of it too.
Yeah, for some it's gardening. For me,
Yeah.
it's painting.
Yeah, gardening. I've never been.
Or
able
painting
to do
gardens.
Hey, there we go. Landscape.
There we go.
Who are your favorite painters?
Oh, I'm inspired by so many, especially if you go on Instagram. Like, there's just this whole community of artists, and everybody's just so supportive. The sad part is, I never stopped to really check out their names online, but many there. I can look at any painting and find inspiration.
Yeah.
So, the ones that obviously, I first started noticing when I started getting into art, obviously, like, Van Gogh and Monet and all the Impressionists, Seurat and things like that. But so, there's classic masters, but there's so many, modern painters and painters that like aren't even actual like full-time artists. They just have some stuff up and, I guess I just
cool
admire a lot.
Yeah, that you can see a lot of these days.
Yeah.
A lot more these days because of the mediums of Instagram and stuff
they're
like
always
that.
different. Like Hopper, he did like the Night Cafe, or not the Night Cafe, Nighthawks. He always did these paintings of like people like in these isolated moments. It's like I've always appreciated those for those meanings and things like that. But then you can look at well, I'm blanking on names now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you go to
reasons.
museums a lot and stuff like that to just?
Oh yeah, the art museum all the time.
Yeah.
They have a good impressionist exhibit there, which I always liked going to. I never spent much time in the modern exhibit as much, but any Chicago and New Orleans, like any chance we've been to other cities. And I always like check out the museums. Chicago's got a great one, obviously.
Yeah, there's some good ones in here, and obviously the art museum is free too. Yeah. All the museums here, which are really
definite
free.
Perk.
And you can just hang out. Contemporary Art Museum. I just got a chance to go to that one for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really nice. The Wash U one is really good. I don't know if you've been to that one yet, but that one's really
I have not.
Awesome. Yeah. They got some money down there, and it's really good.
Cool. Yeah, all the universities have their own little art departments.
Yeah.
It's cool to see.
Even
some of the malls have like the Galleria has like a little thing over by the food.
Which is
cool. I
cool.
don't know if it's still up now. Maybe it's not. I've been there forever.
Yeah.
We moved out west.
Yeah, you guys get it. You guys got out. You're like, sorry.
Now we want to come back.
It is nice. I know. I grew up in Webster, and this is the first time that I've lived like close to the city. Like I told you that I just moved back, and I just like we'd been living downtown in cities for a couple of years, so this is nice because we live in like a neighborhood now, so it's a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a cool area.
How do you like living out west County? Is that where you're living at?
Yeah, so like Ellisville, Chesterfield area.
Yeah, which is kind of like for the people that aren't familiar with St. Louis, it's like 15 minutes outside of like downtown. Kind of.
Yeah, like 15 miles, 20 miles maybe, depending on where you're at. We love our house. Just wish it was closer. So we were in Brentwood for a while, and we were central to everything. Then we had a child, and we're like, okay, we need some more space.
Absolutely.
Awesome house, but we miss all the places we used to go to
that
were nearby us. We're in the land of, food chain restaurants.
Red Robins and Olive Gardens and Macaroni Grills.
Oh, man, we need to come back to Schlafly.
Yeah.
Llewellyn's. And all the places we like going.
Maplewood, Brentwood area, that's super, super nice. We've always talked about living over there. But you're right. I mean, the property values are going up quite a bit over there, too.
Yeah. I mean, you just get more for your money. You go out west, but the downside is, unless you like, being out west. But
yeah,
we have more traffic, and so we're like,
That's the thing. Everything, it's like, I feel like St. Louis is like Houston. Everything's like 15, 20 minutes away from each other. You know? It's like, where are you going? How long is that going to be? 15 minutes. How long is that going to be? It's
Absolutely.
We're going next door. It's 15 minutes.
Now everything's 30 minutes, which isn't terrible, but we're so spoiled. They're like, I got to drive 30 minutes. Forget it.
I'm not doing it.
Sorry. Stay in bed.
I always ask this question every podcast. 5 years from now, best case scenario, what would your life look like? If everything...
Best case scenario, I would still be alive.
That is a great answer. That's the first time everybody's even said that. I love that.
My daughter will be 6.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, hopefully I'm still doing what I'm doing. I have a job that I love, but I also have a hobby that I love, and a wife that I love, and a daughter that I love. So
yeah,
right now things are great.
Would you want your daughter to be a painter?
I hope I know she'll have a creative side, because my wife is actually very creative. She's more creative on forming the concept in her mind, where I have a hard time visualizing things. I have to get it out in front of me.
Yeah.
So, man, you team us together.
You guys are the dream team.
I feel like our daughter is just going to be amazing.
She's got half
Either that or
and
she'll
half.
just be hilarious, because my wife is a prankster and really funny. So,
how do you think?
I'm very interested to see what she's going to turn out like.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Just based not just based off like the amount of time that you have to spend, but how do you think having a child has changed the way that you actually paint, or has it?
Ooh. Well, the paintings I do get to do, I want to spend more time on them.
Yeah.
I at least want to get them right, so I'm not like fiddling around. So I'm definitely I'm more mindful of the time that I have to get it right and get it done, and go play with babies some more.
Seriously, yeah. Actually have the time to spend on like what is fun and like what this thing is actually having a child. Because that's the tough part. Like I'm having a kid, I know it's going to change everything, but I always hear that it is for the better,
Oh, definitely. Yeah, things change, but it's a big change, but it's definitely a change for the better in the right direction.
How would you say is like how do you balance it? Because there's work, there's life, and now there's family.
Yeah, I have no idea.
You're like, I don't know.
One day at a time.
Yeah.
One morning at a time, one afternoon at a time, one evening at a time.
I guess, that's pretty much the only answer to it.
There isn't a balance. It's just, balls are up in the air. We're just trying to catch them all.
Do you want, would you ever, or first off, do you have a dealer that you go through?
No.
Would you be interested in the idea of something like that?
Or you wanted to be my dealer?
I mean, I'm not an art dealer type, but I'm saying if there's any dealers out there that want to check out sometimesbenpaints.com and want to contact you about dealing, big dealer
the hard part
listeners.
is the thing with the gallery was, when something sold, they wanted me to paint more things like that, and I just kind of wanted to paint what I wanted to paint. And then you got to get all your prints ready, and I spent all this time getting all these prints, and I have 100 prints in my basement that I still need to sell. So I don't know. I guess if I wasn't as busy with my day job and career, then yes. But since the time, isn't as flexible now, and I have to make time when I have it, it's harder to have a dealer, selling stuff. Right now, it's like, okay, I'm great if I, sell stuff every now and then versus like, oh, I got all these paintings I got to do, and I don't know when I'm going to get the time.
Yeah, and then like we said before, then there creates this imbalance of like, is this thing a hobby that is a meditation, or is it a side hustle that actually has to produce some sort of money?
It's like some balance of both. Now, obviously, that'll change once my daughter's older. We have a couple kids that are older, and they don't have to be held all the time. So they can go do their own thing, and I can do my own thing, and we'll be sleeping better at night. So
do you just not sleep at all? Is that?
No,
is
we actually.
That's what. Yeah.
It's okay. It's not as
this
good
is
as
like not even a podcast. This is just me asking you questions about being a dad at this point. And they're like, so what's this actually about?
I definitely slept. Cherish your sleep right now. You got to cherish it. But it's not bad. It's amazing how used you get to it. It's like when we first had her, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm getting 4 hours of sleep at night. I'm like getting things done. Like, how does that even happen? You kind of get used to it.
Coffee.
Luckily now, she's sleeping through the night, so we're good. But
in the beginning,
not every night's great.
Yeah. Oh boy, I go from being super excited to terrified,
Just
but I'm
wait.
gonna take it a day at a time.
You might be one of the lucky people who are like, oh yeah, we didn't have any problems with our baby. They just slept in the crib. And
I was
that was
a
it.
spaz as a child. My wife was high energy, let's put it that way. And we've had 2 doctors already not even barely be able to find the heartbeat because he's moving around so much in there.
Okay, well,
They're like, he's going.
there you go.
We're excited. I think you can all tell. Just before we get out of here, let's take it back to you. One more time for just advice. Do you have any advice for young painters out there, or just creatively minded types on either tips that you have, or just anything that you wish that you were told when you were younger about creation?
So when I was younger, I would say don't get so frustrated about figuring out what you're going to do when you're 35, since you're 12 now. Like, you have time. I was always jealous of my friends who knew exactly what they're going to do when we were in high school, and they went on and did it, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing at all. So, I mean, life is not like just one routine. I mean, you basically, you have time to find your own way, and I would say, if you're creatively minded, get out, see what's going on in your town, or, go visit, local, things are happening. Connect with other, creative people, or at least get inspired by other work. Now with the internet, there's plenty of ways you
listen
can
to some podcasts.
Listen to some podcasts.
I'm plugging my podcast on my own podcast.
And it's also frustrating when you're first starting, because you had this idea of like how good you want to be, and man, I found that just making mistakes was the best way to learn.
Yeah. You said that earlier.
Just in art, not like in life, but just in art.
I got arrested 23 times, and you said this was going to be a good idea. I didn't mean that.
I found out drunk driving actually wasn't a great deal after I got my license suspended.
But I was so good at it for a while.
No, but sometimes making a mistake, you unlock this this creativity where it's like, oh, I never even thought about doing it this way, but that happened, and that's kind of cool, so I'm going to follow this. So
and then keep going.
Stay flexible. Yeah.
Go down the rabbit hole. Before we get out of here, one more time where everybody can find you on the interwebs.
www.sometimesbenpaints.com.
Awesome. Check them out there, everybody. You guys know where to check us out because you're listening right now. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for coming out and doing this. I appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.
It's
fun.
I'm glad. This was your first podcast?
First podcast.
It's all downhill from here. Just like the first painting. I don't know.
Oh, crap.
I hear they get harder. Thank you guys again so much for listening, and we will see you all soon.
Just let me in. I'll set fire to the soul of sin.